I think what was one of the kind of major things that I don't think I really appreciated was how topical products can actually, seep into your body, into your system, and they, find trace elements of ingredients that people use topically in liver and other in your blood and other parts of your body. And I think that was really kind of moving to me. I was always mindful of what I ate, but I was not certainly not as mindful about the products I put on my body.
Welcome to the Clean Body Podcast. I'm Lauren Kelly, a certified nutrition therapist and soon-to-be specialized holistic cancer coach with a certification in cancer biology from UC Berkeley. I am so grateful that you're here. This podcast introduces you to the souls and brains behind some of the cleanest food, beverage, and lifestyle products on the market. Because what you put on, in, and around your body matters. From cookies, bread, and mushroom superfoods, to adaptogenic lozenges, clean medicines, organic mattresses, and fluoride-free toothpastes, we'll explore how the brands came to be, how scientific studies drove decisions about ingredients and materials, and most importantly, how the products support all the physical and mental microscopic miracles that occur in your body every minute of every day. Thank you for being here. Let's get this started. Hello, everyone. Oh man, I am recording this on a Monday night at 8:22 p.m. after working a full day, studying for school, doing an exam. I'm exhausted, but luckily, making this podcast is one of the most favorite things I've ever done in my life. So let's do this, shall we? So before we launch into this episode and I tell you all about who I'm speaking to and why I chose to speak to him, I want you to take a second and I want you to listen to the products I'm going to list and tally up how many you use on a regular basis. Ready? Toothpaste, shaving cream, shampoo, conditioner, body soap, facial cleanser, hair gel, hairspray, leave-in conditioner, deodorant, mouthwash, cologne, perfume, body lotion, body oil, sunscreen, hand sanitizer, makeup, chapstick, sunless tanner, nail polish. Okay. How many did you get? Now, I wanted you to do that because many people balk at the idea of buying cleaner hygiene products. And not to call men out, but a lot of those people are often men. They say they don't use that many products. It's just a couple small things. They can't make much of a difference. But consider how many items you just counted that you expose to your body regularly, if not every day. It builds up. You are layering product upon product on your skin, and skin, being the amazing organ that it is, it can absorb up to 60% of what you put on it. That means those products you use only a little bit of, the toxins they contain are being stored somewhere in your body, probably in your fat, or causing excess detoxification stress, which can lead to nutrient deficiencies, which leads to a whole host of other things. By acting like synthetic hormones and preventing normal hormone function, these products can interrupt everything from your energy levels and sleep to your immune and brain function. So that is why today on the Clean Body Podcast, I am talking to someone who's learned about all of this firsthand. His name is Ross Goodhart. He is the co-CEO and co-founder of Jupiter, the first brand focused on delivering high-quality dandruff and scalp care products made with dermatologist-tested, clean, and elevated ingredients. Formulated from scratch without sulfates, parabens, phthalates, artificial dyes, fragrances, or other harmful chemicals, Ross didn't always work in the hair care industry. In fact, he spent a lot of time in his career working in investment banking, and then private equity managing funds focused on consumer and tech investments in emerging markets. It was when he became disenchanted with the finance world and disconnected from the end consumer that he started to make changes and venture into the entrepreneur world. This is such a great conversation and such an important one. So many people suffer from dandruff than we even talk about. Hey, I admit it. I suffer from dandruff sometimes. Our scalps can be dry. The environment, even around our heads, changes the health of the microbiome on our scalps. So it's a really interesting conversation. And Ross was kind enough to offer the Clean Body Podcast listeners 10% off any Jupiter products. So if you use the code CleanBody10 at checkout on hellojupiter.com, you can get that 10% discount. If you like this episode, make sure you review it, rate it, subscribe, send it to your friends, shoot me a message on Instagram. You can catch me at Holistic Lauren Kelly, or you can follow the Clean Body Project on Instagram. All right, that's it for me. Let's jump into this interview. All right. Well, I am so excited to have you here, Roz. Honestly, this has been one of the episodes I've been most looking forward to because I'm just so pumped for what Jupiter is doing, both from a product perspective and just a messaging and lifestyle perspective. So we have so much to talk about. But before we jump into the Jupiter brand, I just want to know what your personal journey to kind of this health and wellness realm was. I find that a lot of people who work in this industry have their own unique story.
Yeah. So, my background is I was born and raised in Hawaii, and grew up living quite healthy, being really active, and being pretty mindful of the foods I ate and the products I use. And after leaving Michigan, or after leaving Hawaii, I went off to college in Michigan and then New York about 18 years ago. Now in Miami to try to get a little bit more sun during this during these months. But I've about 5 years ago, after working in private equity for many years, I left to start my own set of brands and kind of developing products that were just better quality than what was out there, and really with a kind of a major focus um, on getting people the most out of the products that they're buying. So oftentimes people buy products, they use them incorrectly, and then they say they don't work. So it's really working on helping them with that. Most of the products I built up over those 5 years were kind of one-off type lifestyle products, but a lot of them, even at a kitchen tools brand, a lot of the products were around kind of being able to know what was in your food, and being able to create kind of cleaner products at home. So, kind of going, if you'd like, I can kind of jump into the kind of story of Jupiter. But at least my journey was I've been a dandruff sufferer my entire life, and been really frustrated with the products that are out there. They either didn't smell good, didn't look good, didn't work for me. I was embarrassed to have them in my showers, and even going to dermatologists, they recommended a lot of products that ultimately may work at times, but some of those, especially the prescription ones, I didn't want to be using for an extended period of time because of the harshness of the ingredients, or harshness of some of the inactive ingredients that were in those products. And so I've always been mindful of that, and because of that, haven't probably wasn't as compliant in using them as I should have. So again, the because of that, then the solutions never worked. And ultimately, I knew there had to be a better way to attack this problem that affects 50 to 75% of the world, 20% all day, every day. And so that's where kind of in 2017 started looking into creating a solution that spoke to me more personally. I wasn't embarrassed having the shower. I understood how and when to use it, had clean and good ingredients, smelled good, and also um, really felt good. And I think that's something that oftentimes is overlooked in some of these products that are also efficacious. Is you want it to feel good so that people remain compliant, use it how they're supposed to, and get the most out of
Oh man, I have so many things to say after all of that.
it.
Thank you for sharing all that. I was actually going to out you as a dandruff sufferer, so you beat me to the punch. But I am also a dandruff sufferer, and this is something I love so much about Jupiter. You're removing this unspoken shame around it, and I never really thought about the fact that there is such shame associated with having dandruff, and you're so embarrassed. And Jupiter is kind of just bringing that to the forefront like, hey, this is a thing. And people, I feel like I'm a pretty, blunt person, but that's just nothing I ever would have, like, picked out of my brain, like, "Oh, I'm super embarrassed to talk about my dandruff," and you guys are putting it right out there in a really bold way and almost making having dandruff cool because you've got a product that people can use that, like you said, makes people feel good when they're using it and just being a part of the community. I think the community you're trying to build is also really awesome. But before we dive too deep into that, also, by the way, Hawaii, oof, must have been a rough childhood. My husband is there right now. I'm very jealous. But what inspired, I actually think I saw a little tidbit about this on the website and I thought it was interesting. What inspired the name Jupiter?
Yeah, so I think this actually goes to kind of an interesting point of how this all even got started. Is while I had my journey, my business partner Robbie had his own kind of independent journey, going through having an experience that kind of exacerbated his dandruff and saying like there has to be a better solution. And kind of my story was that while I was confident in getting a product made and getting it sold, given my history doing this in other brands, I knew my background was not in kind of the strong branding and storytelling, whereas Robbie, my business partner, has just a very strong kind of command of the branding and storytelling space. And I knew that we needed something, a strong name, and a strong brand to really kind of stand out and be something special, and not just be kind of looked at as a product company. So, we went through a lot of iterations of kind of branding and brand names. We wanted a name that ultimately was. We didn't want to make up a new name that no one had ever heard of. We wanted it to sound sciencey but not medicinal, so that that kind of we could actually pair the cosmetic side, but also allow people to kind of feel like this is actually an effective product. Existing products, many of the existing products in the market are very medicinal sounding, and but we wanted to take into account that kind of the sciencey nature. Space is cool. Space is aspirational. We wanted our brand to be aspirational. We don't lean into the kind of space element of the brand too much, but we can every once in a while have a little fun with some puns around it. There's also some kind of it's a relatively gender neutral name, which was important for us as we were launching. And then later in our kind of exploration of the name, we started hearing some like really interesting kind of facts about from an astronomical perspective, that because they're actually that civilization was able to develop on Earth was because of the planet Jupiter, because it actually blocks Earth from a lot of what we call space flakes and meteors, asteroids. There's another kind of really interesting one, which we don't want to take credit for, but happened after we came up with the name. But there was an article written about the storm that's been brewing on the head of Jupiter for 80 years, which just seems kind of very fitting to kind of
Too perfect.
our journey. But even better is that scientists were saying it was starting to break apart, and scientists were claiming that it was starting to flake.
Oh my
So
gosh.
for us, again, some of these little, that's the astronomical side and astrological side. Something that a lot of people really do believe in, and Jupiter is the god of gods, bring order to chaos, the jovial god. So we really wanted a brand that had that was strong, but also kind of happy and uplifting.
Yeah, the name game of choosing a brand name is so difficult. It kind of just has to come to you. It has to be like a spark of inspiration sometimes. And I think the universe brings you the right name. And it sounds like the universe literally brought you space flakes and
So
a.
I have to give it to Robbie though, to be honest, because while I liked the name at the beginning, I honestly I couldn't. It was hard for me until the brand started to really develop to really internalize it. He had the confidence in it, which was important because it got me kind of past that uncertainty. And then now that we're live, I couldn't imagine it being a different.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's do you go for the low-hanging fruit that people are searching for, or do you take a risk and choose a creative name like Jupiter? I think you guys have found a winner. But you mentioned that you wanted it to also reflect the science. So that's a good transition for us to kind of talk about the Jupiter products and the thoughts that went into the ingredients that you use and how they compare to other products that are in the marketplace. So maybe we could just jump in with you sharing with us kind of your journey in. I know you said that what you put in your body was always a focus growing up in Hawaii and throughout your entire life, but throughout this process I imagine you learned some new things about the products that are used in our hygiene products that we use all the time. And so I'd love for you to just share kind of what that evolution of education was for you, maybe some things that really surprised you and stayed with you, and are still prevalent in your mind today?
Yeah, what was one of the kind of major things that I don't think I really appreciated was how topical products can actually seep into your body, into your system, and they find trace elements of ingredients that people use topically in liver and other blood and other parts of your body. And I think that was really kind of moving to me. I was always mindful of what I ate, but I was not certainly not as mindful about the products I put on my body. And so that kind of led to Robbie and I really focusing on formulating a product that was a clean product, where we were really mindful about every ingredient that's in our products. We're not claiming that we're all organic. We're not a natural brand, and partially the reason being is we use an active ingredient in our product, and we can kind of go into that. But effectively, the underlying cause of dandruff is an overgrowth of fungus on your body, and overproduction of oil, or even an underproduction of oil. But effectively, in order to really truly treat the underlying cause of dandruff, you need to use an active ingredient. That's an ingredient that the FDA has 50 plus years of efficacy studies proving its effectiveness in controlling the underlying cause of dandruff. And so there are 5 to 6 active ingredients that the FDA has approved. Some of them are more toxic than others. Some of them are more suitable for daily use, or a little more flexible in how you can use those products. So in our formulation, every ingredient that we chose, we wanted to make sure that it had a purpose to exist in our product, that it was effective, and that it was as clean as possible. So we do use a lot of natural ingredients in our formulations, but we also rely on the active to actually treat the underlying cause of dandruff. So we've chosen to go with zinc pyrithione. It's an ingredient that has some amazing efficacy studies behind it for many years. Tends to be one that is most suitable for daily use, as well as one that is least toxic amongst the actives. We actually Another active is salicylic acid, which we actually do have in a non kind of active concentration in one of our products as well. That kind of helps pair with the zinc pyrithione. But in formulation, we effectively started with the active ingredient that was most critical to kind of controlling the underlying cause of dandruff. And then on top of that, that's where we really built out this beautiful cosmetic experience. So it was layering on inactive ingredients, but more natural ingredients, like coconut oil or algae extract or colloidal oatmeal or even probiotics. I mean, our entire formulation and our brand is really focused on not just dandruff, but really just as overall scalp care. But the focus at first is on dandruff because we want to make sure that we are a brand that people understand was formulated to work. So we wanted to make sure that it did work, but that it also had a bunch of really good ingredients that have clinical data proving it helps the overall efficacy of the active, but also helps with symptoms and just creates a really overall good experience.
I think a lot of people probably, when you said a dandruff is caused by fungus on your scalp, probably were like, "Oh my god, gross! What? There's fungus on my body." So I just want to throw out there that there is more fungus and bacteria in your body than there are cells. Totally normal. Fungus is actually quite, the right kind of fungus is very healthy for you. I actually did an interview with Mushrooms, all about mushroom and fungi superfood. So, just a call out, don't freak out. You might have fungus growing on your scalp, but you're fine. You mentioned probiotics, which I had never considered probiotics for your hair and your scalp, which is kind of silly. But it just never really occurred to me. How do probiotics work for scalp health?
I think it goes back to the whole point of actually finding a balanced scalp. So, as you mentioned, everyone has fungus and bacteria all over your body, and in kind of healthy individuals or healthy situations, those are typically in balance. But when they're imbalanced is when you can end up having the redness, the irritation, the flaking associated with dandruff. So, effectively, probiotics, which are in a number of our products, we call it out on our conditioner, but it's actually in a number of our products. Helps to create a balanced microbiome on the scalp. So again, it doesn't. Its point is not to go and kill off the bacteria and fungus, but it's to create a kind of an environment. As probiotics are tend to be used now very successfully in a lot of different forms, both ingestible and topical, to create a balanced microbiome. And that will help with the overall kind of control of the underlying causes of dandruff. And so, we have 5 formulas in our product in our set right now, as well as a brush, and all of those products are focused on scalp care. Everything that we formulated is not, like a conditioner. We have most conditioners historically have been formulated just for the hair, and the instructions were even just put it on the kind of ends of your hair. We formulated it so that it is both good for the scalp and hair, so that you're getting benefits of the scalp, which leads to healthy hair.
Uh, microbiome is my favorite word. So every time you said it, I smiled because I just got excited because it's my favorite thing to talk about. Um, but something that is really big for the Jupiter brand is you don't use fragrances or preservatives, I believe, or perhaps you use a little bit of preservatives. But I kind of want to dig into that because I don't think people realize fragrances. It's one word, but it's not one thing. So let's break down the myth a little bit around fragrances and why Jupiter decided not to use at least synthetic fragrances in their products.
Yeah, so I think there is, to your point, there's fragrances and there's a scent. So
Hmm.
fragrances tend to be kind of associated with synthetic fragrances, and I think what that was probably another one of kind of the major learnings. You can see my dog in the background,
That's okay.
but
My dogs are outside whining at the door, so I understand.
yeah, he wants attention. One of the things that I learned was one of the dirty secret in the cosmetics industry is fragrance is where a lot of brands hide, a lot of kind of bad ingredients. So you will find a lot of preservatives. You'll find parabens you'll find parabens in fragrances that you might not see on the back of a product label. And I think that's something that people should be aware of. Is they might say, I don't want parabens, or I don't want phthalates or any other ingredients in my products. And they look at a ingredient list and they don't see it on there, and they immediately assume that it's not there and it's safe. But if you actually looked at the underlying fragrance, you will find it in there. So that was something that was really kind of interesting to us, and why we ended up going with, instead of a synthetic fragrance, we use essential oils for an all natural fragrance, or an all natural scent. And that was really important for us because, first off, a number of the essential oils are very beneficial for overall scalp health, but it creates a more kind of natural, spa-like smell, which was something that we really wanted to focus on. We didn't want it to feel synthetic or smell synthetic, which, for some may kind of keep them away from being as compliant with the product. So we wanted it to feel and smell really really kind of luxe and wonderful. And we did use a lot of, I would say, more expensive ingredients in our formulation, to make sure that we were able to achieve that. But there are synthetics that are totally safe. But our decision was to try to stay away from that, and that was a kind of a calling card of our brand early on.
Yeah. Like you said, there are safe ones, but my rule of thumb is to essentially stay away from them as well. Even when I go to the healthier grocery stores and I look at their product lines, I turn the label around and I see if there is fragrance in it because they can have up to 500 different ingredients and compounds and just fragrance and you don't even know what those are and that's kind of scary to me. I want to know what I'm putting on my
Completely
body.
right. And then to your question around preservatives, we basically effectively we do have some preservatives. They're just low toxicity ingredients, and the point being is we want to make sure that our products are going to be safe and stable on a shelf. So two of our products, our shampoo and our serum, are both OTC products. So they have to go through all of the necessary testing that is required by the FDA, which involves going through preservative testing, as well as some other tests that are required by the FDA. We put all of our products through the same level of testing, but two of them were required by the FDA to do so.
Yeah, something I heard that I thought was a good point when I was doing research for this interview was if you have a glass of water by your bed, right, and it sits there for 3 months, are you going to drink it at 3 months later? And the answer is no. And so with shampoos and conditioners, you do need some kind of preservative in there because they can sit on the shelf for some time. So you need to keep them in some kind of stable form that people feel comfortable using
And
them.
I think what's important for us, and I think this again differentiates us in our business model of being a direct consumer brand, and not being, say, a retail brand, at least at the moment. And I think we do have aspirations of going into retail in the future. Is a lot of the existing products that are on retail shelves now have preservatives that effectively make their useful life almost indefinite. And to me, that starts to feel a little bit scary to know that a product can effectively, sit on a shelf forever. I know before I'd started Jupiter, my parents had dandruff shampoos in our guest bathrooms just because they were like the kind of shampoo that everyone kind of would use and feel comfortable using, big name brands. And I remember when my parents moved, they took their shampoo with them from Hawaii and they moved to Florida, and I saw the expiration date of these products. It was like 8, 10 years ago, and still sitting in her shower. I've finally gotten rid of them, but it just kind of made me kind of realize how bad some of those preservatives really are, and or at least how strong they are. People can have their own opinions as to how safe they are, but that's something that we wanted to make sure that our products were going to be safe. And being a direct consumer brand, you don't have to worry about having excess inventory sitting on shelves and then ending up in dollar stores or other retail establishments where they're around forever. We're able to keep inventory more real time and ensure that we're not having products that need extensive amounts of preservatives to last forever.
So how long do your products last? What's the expiration life cycle?
Yeah, so we currently, what we can claim based on FDA testing is 2 years. Now, our products will last longer than that, but we try to say that 2 years is generally where it's going to be most efficacious. The likelihood is that they do remain much longer than that, but I would not expect they're going to last forever, which is a good thing.
Yeah, well, hopefully we're all showering regularly and using Jupiter products when we do that. So I don't think 2 years is too short of a time. I think you'd go through them quite faster than that. Um, but let's dig in a little bit to, I'm looking at my notes, what we've talked about. Are there any specific okay, I had a question about this. So a lot of brands and bigger brands now do have natural products called out on their labels. We have coconut oil, we have aloe vera, but they also have all those other compounds, those preservatives, those fragrances, all, a ton of ingredients that can frankly cause hormonal imbalances in your body. And there's even studies that they can contribute to tumor growth and cancer and all sorts of things that you don't want. So, how can listeners listening to this episode right now kind of see through that BS when they're at a grocery store, if they have to pick a product there and it's calling out aloe vera or coconut oil? Do those good products in those um, products that contain other toxins, do the bad outweigh the good, or what's your advice for shoppers?
Yeah, so I'd say that those ingredients are good. It doesn't, but at the same time, I wouldn't say they outweigh the bad. There are also, I think, a point to note is that not all natural ingredients are created equal. So you'll see call outs for certain natural ingredients that may be heavily processed versions of the original ingredient. So you might be able to say coconut oil, but it may be processed through a lot of kind of different forms in which it's not actually even as identifiable as coconut oil as brands that are more focused on kind of the source of their ingredients. So I'd say having those ingredients are great. They can, for us, even all of our natural ingredients, we don't claim that they individually are going to get rid of your dandruff. And why we also really try to dissuade people from kind of those at-home remedies. Again, while some of those natural ingredients, like the coconut oil or an apple cider vinegar or other ingredients you may have in your cabinets, can potentially help with the underlying causes or maybe the symptoms, if you're not formulating them appropriately, so you're not a chemist, you're not mixing them with the right
Mhm.
amount of water, those ingredients can, if not balanced, can burn your scalp, can clog your pores, and cause actually more issues than they're actually solving. So I think, again, just straight back to your point, is those ingredients can be good, but the likelihood is that, I think, again, just focus on the back of the bottles. You can run ingredients through EWG, and so the Environmental Working Group, and other channels. I wouldn't take those all as like gospel, but I would say that it's a way to kind of verify and check. You will see also ingredients on the back of bottles that may sound bad just because they're scientific, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're bad. So I think you do have to do your research, because some ingredients are just the technical forms of natural ingredients or of other innovative low toxic ingredients. So I think it does require a bit of focus on and kind of research into those products. So it's a little bit. So I guess the answer is it's a bit hard to just look at the back of the label or look at a bottle and um, know that it's safe. It might take a little bit of time to do your research. As you mentioned, synthetic fragrances tend to be something that, or the term fragrance, can be a place that things are hidden. But it might be effective. It might be clean. It might be a clean fragrance, but just be mindful of that when you see it on the back of bottles.
Well, coloring too, right? I don't need pink shampoo. I'm just fine with white shampoo.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, some of those pink shampoos are going to be, maybe through natural coloring,
Mhm.
safe coloring. When we formulated our products, it was about being, kind of as clean and pure to the kind of natural, the color of the ingredients as possible. And I think that there's something about that, giving having consumers understand or feel at least that it is a cleaner product, doesn't have a bunch of unnecessary kind of jazz or color that makes it look good. But that was just our choice, and I think the extra dyes are just, and again, another added ingredient you don't really need.
Right. I mean, it would be kinda cool if Jupiter shampoo sparkled like all Jupiter purple, but
Yes.
then I'm not sure I would trust it. I'm glad that you called out the singular, uh, products that won't necessarily, like coconut oil or apple cider vinegar, that they could burn your scalp or they could clog your pores. I actually just saw an influencer saying that she puts apple cider vinegar in her hair once a week and it makes it all shiny and strong, and I was like, "Oh, maybe I'll try that." But good point. And every
It can work again, and it's, you have to be really mindful of it, and especially for people who do have dandruff, it does require, there's no cure for dandruff. It requires ongoing maintenance, and so if you're using something, you try something else out, it can just disrupt again, going back to disrupt the microbiome of your scalp, and actually, even if it doesn't burn it, it can cause just like a imbalance or a longer term imbalance. It throws off the balance of that microbiome.
Yeah, I say it in every single interview. Every body is different. So, what's working for that influencer may not work for me because the microbiome on my head is different than the microbiome on her head.
Yep.
But through everything you've learned through this journey with Jupiter, what have you identified, if anything, as some of the root causes of dandruff?
Yeah, so dandruff can be driven by both genetic and lifestyle. So I'm actually somebody who is my dandruff is both genetic and lifestyle. My business partner Robbie is more lifestyle driven. So while it can be impacted by your genetics, a lot of other factors, like such as your diet, your stress levels, your travel, your exercise, either exercising a lot or not enough, you're living in an urban environment. A lot of factors that people I don't think really understand affect dandruff. And you may use a dandruff solution that has an active ingredient, and it could be effective, but because you're not taking into account your diet or your stress levels, you could be causing it. You could be kind of counteracting the benefits of the topical solution. So, as a big part of our brand is really around focusing on education to the consumer. We want to make sure that we are like your friendly source of resource for what is actually causing the underlying or what's actually causing dandruff. And that's something I think that both my business partner and I, and many people when we were launching the brand, and we did focus groups and interviews, and people were effectively saying they didn't know why they had it. And then once we told them, do you know that your diet, it could be gluten, dairy, spicy foods, sugars, can all have an impact on and impact each person differently. So we really focus on dandruff care and scalp care as a holistic approach. So you have to really not just use our products effectively and continuously, or use them compliantly, be compliant with the use of it, but you do need to be mindful of all of these other lifestyle factors that can ultimately affect your dandruff. So maybe meditate a bit, bring down those stress levels, be mindful of your sugars and your spicy foods and gluten and dairy, and it's all different for each individual. No different than how people have been impacted in their kind of acne care, with understanding that you can use a product, but if you're not mindful of what you're putting in your body, you're not going to have the same or the right output, the right outcome.
Right. And it sounds so overwhelming for people who are just kind of dipping their toes into the holistic industry or even just health and wellness. The fact that, okay, it could be the bread I ate yesterday. It could be the protein bar that had the sugar. It could be, the spicy food that I consumed or even the lotion I'm putting on my skin. It sounds really overwhelming, but it's not too overwhelming once you just start taking one step at a time and educating yourself and paying more mindful attention to how you feel after you consume things, maybe keep food diaries. It's not as scary. But
You'll start to recognize that
Mhm.
the moment, the nights or the days you're drinking more, you'll feel it exasperate. Or we know a lot of people who eat spicy foods, and the next day are sugary foods, drinking champagne, um, and then realizing that it gets worse the next day. And so it's we don't expect that this is everything's going to be perfect overnight, and you're going to figure out your body perfectly overnight. But just little incremental changes will have a pretty noticeable impact.
Yeah, and you'll always fall off the bandwagon. I've been on my own health and wellness journey for years, and I am trying to cultivate that inner intelligence and intuitive eating, and I still eat pizza once a week. Like, it's still gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, again, and we're also not trying to say that you have to change your entire lifestyle. We don't want this to be overwhelming. We want it to be easy for people to use, so that they again remain compliant. That's like ultimately the most important thing. And we just want individuals to know that in addition to using the product, if you're mindful about these other parts of your life, you may actually see even better results than you would expect.
So, how do you, or how are you currently, or how are you planning on continuing those communications with consumers so that it's not just a product that they're buying and putting in their bathroom? It's kind of more of a community, it sounds like, that's being built that can help them achieve the health goals that they might have. So, what are some of your plans around that?
Yeah, so before we even launched, we launched on our website about 50 plus pieces of content around scalp health, dandruff, and all of the kind of lifestyle choices that can have an impact on. As we wanted to really be like your go-to education source around scalp health. So that's where we started, and getting that information out there has been important. Now, in addition to that, after someone does purchase a product, or even if they get into kind of our email welcome series, they'll be over time kind of they'll be introduced to a number of kind of emails around kind of health and wellness, and really what that's really important for us, because what we didn't want to become is just another kind of consumer brand that you buy our product and then all you hear from us afterwards is buy this, buy this, buy this, another promotion about this. We certainly are going to offer those, but we wanted to make sure that we had an ongoing communication with customers, and that's really how we use our email marketing, is to make sure that consumers know over time that they're gonna there are other factors that will come to play in their overall scalp care.
I think that's the most powerful thing brands can do is kind of try to become an ally in their consumers' lives, not just, try to go for their money and their wallet share. It's
Yeah,
really becoming like a companion in life and
yeah.
figuring out this
We
freaking.
look even in our social channels, like we're also really focused on it not just being pretty images, or not just being a promotion, but being educational as much as possible. We're also launching shortly a Facebook community group, because we do think it's really, really important that there is a source for people to be able to ask questions and learn about the underlying causes of dandruff, and also be part of a community, understanding that 50 to 75% of the world gets dandruff at some point in their lives, and other people are dealing with it and frustrated with it at varying points in their lives and various severity, and that's been really important. When we launched the brand, we wanted to make sure that it was a successful brand, but we also wanted to make sure that we built a community to really focus on destigmatizing the condition. And I think we had spoken previously and I mentioned to you, in addition to that, what the stigma has often done in the past is it causes a lot of kind of shame in individuals that have it, and that's why when we launched the brand, it was a big part of our brand was not just to be successful, but also be a platform to allow people to learn, and also to bring awareness to a number of mental health challenges that people face because of their dandruff. And as a high schooler, I felt that shame having dandruff, and it was something I had to deal with, and wish I knew more about it at that time. And even when I was in finance, wearing a suit every day, and feeling embarrassed about the flakes on my shoulder. Now I can wear dark clothing because Jupiter exists, but it was something I struggled with. So we want to make sure that we were creating a platform and a place for people to feel comfortable about who they are, and that they're not alone.
You just triggered me by saying high school. Oh, let's not go back there. Oh man, I guess it wasn't high school. It was more middle school. You can't tell now. Some days you can, but I have extremely curly hair, which a lot of people with curly hair have dandruff issues because we have really
Sure.
dry textures. And my nickname was the vacuum because people could throw things in my hair and it would suck it up. No, it's funny. Another nickname was the Furby, but I'll bring the curly hair out one of these days. But I think that's really powerful
I
and
got I had the troll doll
the
because my hair was I had kind of a big puffy hair, and yeah, I definitely got troll doll.
childhood.
Yeah,
It's so hard.
nice kids.
Do you have any testimonials, or like what's the average customer feedback that you guys are getting from people who have suffered from dandruff for quite some time?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was really where Robbie and I knew we had a business, was when we started to get those reviews. The testimonials, the reviews on our products have been overwhelmingly fantastic, and I think that's that really makes our day. Clearly, as a new business, we just launched last May during the pandemic. Pretty challenging time to launch a brand, but
Risky, yeah.
yeah, it was risky. But I think it took time to formulate and test and get our products where they are. But we once a few months in, we started to get a lot of really great reviews, and seeing that it was impacting people, really having a huge impact on their life. That's where it just made it entirely worthwhile. So despite all the challenges we'll be facing on a day to day basis, those nice reviews, those just comments, someone writing in on chat, or just a quick email, ends up making it totally worthwhile for us. And that's where we really knew there was a business where we knew we were actually transforming people's lives.
Well, you're building something from the heart, which I think is not unique. You know, people look for a gap in the marketplace so they can make money. And obviously, you want to make money. We all want to make money. But you really are putting the people that you serve at the center of everything that you're doing and ensuring you're creating a confidence that they can trust you and they can trust that they're buying your product and they're buying what they think they're buying. So,
I
with
mean,
that,
that's
and
why even on our quiz, so we have a quiz on our site that we developed with our dermatologists around scalp, hair, and lifestyle questions. And part of that is to allow consumers to go through kind of a journey that will recommend the best set of products for them. We don't want, another thing is, we don't want to sell something to someone that they don't need. So it's really about aligning them with the right set of products. But what it also does is it allows us to learn more about who our actual customers are and what they actually really want. So going forward, as we develop new products, we have a lot more insight, not just from our small little friend circles, but from people who are actual users and our folk are telling us that they have. We say we have a lot of curly hair, or what we found was when we launched the brand, it is a unisex brand and it's great for all sexes. But we wanted to make sure that what ended up happening is we found that we're actually probably about 80% female right now in terms of the demographic of our customers. Now, that could be that 80% of them are using it, could be that they're buying on behalf of their partners potentially.
mhm, I know my husband's going to use up all my product.
Yeah, yeah, we know that's the case, so that's why we probably leaned a little bit towards targeting the female demographic. But I think because we've formulated a cleaner product that is also, what was a big thing for us, is a product that was safe for color and chemically treated hair. That was something that we got in really early periods where we were doing our focus groups and testing, was hearing how much demand there was actually for that demographic, and something that was really important for us when we formulated the products, and also how we kind of talk about our brand, is that it is safe for chemically and color treated hair. 50% of females color or chemically treat their hair, so there's a large market of people who effectively really been excluded from the dandruff conversation because the products were not really right for their hair types or their treatments. And that was very important to us in the beginning when we went and tested our shampoo, specifically to make sure that it was indeed safe for chemically and color treated hair. What ended up coming back, which was really wonderful, is it was indeed safe for color and chemically treated hair. But it also came back that it reduced hair breakage by 30%. So again, that goes back to kind of our early conversations with using really good ingredients, is that you're really nourishing the hair. And I think that's something that dandruff shampoos have always had, this kind of connotation of being good for maybe getting rid of your dandruff, but your hair would be a mess.
Mm.
And so the fact that our shampoo, which is getting rid of your dandruff, is also reducing hair breakage, was really important for us.
I think it's interesting to think about the dichotomy of coloring and chemically treating your hair and then using Jupiter products, because I would imagine that those services of coloring your hair, which I do too, it's a female thing, causes some irritation or inflammation on the scalp because those chemicals can't be good for our heads. And then the Jupiter comes in and kind of counteracts some of those things by rebalancing the microbiome on the scalp, by soothing some of the inflammation that's occurring with the coconut oil or the biotin or oatmeal. Are there any specific ingredients that you specifically want to call out and kind of explain their superpower and how they benefit the hair?
Yeah, I mean, look, we try not to oversell the value of any one ingredient, and
Mhm.
formulations are really complicated, and finding a balance of ingredients is challenging, and it took us two plus years to get to where we are. But I think again, the call outs are the active ingredients in Prithione, which is what we use is to control the underlying cause of dandruff. But then a lot, again, as I mentioned, like colloidal oatmeal for soothing of the scalp, and the algae extract, and we have green tea and aloe vera. We have volcanic ash in our scalp mask and a purifying
What?
mask, which is amazing. It's an amazing natural kind of chemical exfoliant to remove kind of excess buildup in oil and all of the environmental buildup and product buildup that you have throughout the week. So it's really in each of our products there are some kind of core ingredients that we'll use across them that are really kind of good for scalp health, like the probiotics and the like, but also kind of throwing in kind of unique call out ingredients to each of the products to really kind of enhance the overall kind of effectiveness of those products. So we also use an ingredient called Decaline Glycol, which again, sounds like another chemical. It's actually a very low toxicity ingredient that's really helpful in balancing the microbiome. And there's clinical data that, along with an active ingredient, kind of helps with the overall efficacy. Again, there's only certain kind of claims we can and can't make as a brand that's regulated by the FDA or have products regulated by the FDA. But all of these ingredients combined, being very mindful of the ingredients we choose, combined to just create a really good overall kind of scalp and hair care experience.
Yeah, and people do have to remember too, it's not just scalp and hair care experience. It is a 360 experience because your skin absorbs up to 60% of what you put on it. And so those compounds are going into your body and they're either causing benefit or they're wreaking havoc. So you want to try to get some healthy stuff. But one second, volcanic ash. Are you collecting that yourself and do you need help or how
Yeah,
exactly?
yeah. I go back to Hawaii with some family and we collected. I wish that was the case, but unfortunately, unfortunately not. But it's pretty wonderful. Like it creates like a really like kind of lustrous kind of grayish um, kind of foaming experience. I don't know. It's pretty awesome. People are really liking it. It's a pretty unique product, and it's a nice kind of weekly reset.
Well, if you ever are making a volcanic ash excursion and you need volunteers, let me know.
Yes, you got it.
But that's, before we wrap this up with a couple quick hit questions, you do have other products, but beyond shampoo and conditioners, and you've mentioned them here and there. But let's just outline those a little bit more so the listeners know what other things you are selling on your website.
For sure. So as I mentioned, so we have our shampoo to start, which is it's an over-the-counter OTC shampoo. It's used zinc Prithione with a bunch of, again, natural and innovative ingredients to kind of help control the underlying cause of dandruff. The conditioner, which is a cosmetic conditioner, again, still focused on scalp health with probiotics to help with the scalp microbiome. Our third product is it's called the Restoring Serum. This is a leave-on treatment. It's an OTC product, has zinc Prithione, and it's a leave-on treatment for people who have more oily scalp, more severe dandruff, or where the routine of washing your hair as frequently as we recommend, which is probably 3 to 4 times a week. We understand that's not going to fit into the routine of everybody, and we wanted to create a suite of products that is mindful of that. And so the Restoring Serum is very kind of useful for those people. It's a leave-on that you leave on after you get out of the shower, or up to 4 times per day. You just leave it, put it onto the scalp. It has a little needle nose tip. You rub it in, and it helps control the underlying cause of dandruff until you get a chance to wash. So it's helpful. We wanted to make sure that we're creating a flexible system for all different demographic groups and different routines. The fourth product is called our Soothing Elixir. This is really to help with those dry spots throughout the day. It's a small dropper. You throw it in your purse, and if you have any of that kind of the symptoms. So it's not a treatment itself. It's not getting rid of the underlying cause of dandruff, but it can help with relieving the symptoms associated with it
I've
temporarily
had
into it.
those little spots
Yeah,
before,
they
and
have
they
those little
hurt.
spots. They do. They can
Yeah.
burn. They can feel red, which is like a funny to say it feels red, but you can feel that irritation. And again, helps with just kind of cooling it down. And then we have the Purifying Mask, which is our volcanic ash foaming scalp mask, which is really our chemical weekly exfoliant. So you use that before you use the shampoo and conditioner just to reset and get rid of any buildup you've had throughout the week. Again, a product that individuals are not going to be washing their hair as frequently as we recommend. It's a good product to be able to kind of get rid of any of the buildup and start fresh. And then the last product is a brush, a massaging brush, a scalp brush, and that's real purpose. That's our physical exfoliant. So that's again continues to help with removing excess buildup, oil, flakes on the scalp. Helps massage the scalp, which is really good for promoting blood flow to the scalp, which is good for healthy hair. And it also just feels really good. And lastly, it what we always try to promote is to not scratch your scalp, because if you scratch your scalp, you can create open wounds, which can cause even more of an issue. So using the brush is gentle enough to be able to alleviate the kind of the itchiness, but is going to protect you from really damaging your scalp anymore.
Do these products build on one another if you use them together? It's something I've always seen on labels, like use our conditioner next or use our serum next. And I'm like, is that just a ploy to get me to buy all of your products, or is there some scientific facts behind that?
Yeah, no, I mean they are a system. So we've separated out the shampoo and conditioner because effectively there's been over the years this kind of move or at least the option of having these two in ones, and there's a lot of research that breaking them out is going to be much more effective. Shampoo to actually clean the hair, conditioner to nourish and hydrate. When you put them together, you're kind of getting like a little bit lesser of each of the kind of components. So for us, that's really important. Why we separate it out. You're going to get overall efficacy and benefits to your hair and scalp by separating them out. And then yeah, the serum is really an add-on to the shampoo and conditioner, and again will help to overall enhance the effectiveness of the treatment. And then the other products are really again just additional add-ons that are not needed for everybody. We don't want people to buy products that are not right for them. But like the elixir and the mask are technically cosmetic products. They're just wonderful experience. We do think that the mask before, once a week before our shampoo conditioner is the best way to kind of get rid of everything that's been on your scalp and your hair, and then start off with the shampoo conditioner to then, which is your kind of ongoing treatment. So yeah, I guess point is that there is a system here. We recommend either shampoo conditioner, shampoo conditioner and serum, or the whole set. Those are our three sets that we offer right now. But we do understand that individuals are going to want to buy one product here, one product there, and that's okay. But we do want to make sure that people are mindful of the fact that if they use our products, but then they use other products that could end up irritating their scalp, they're going to get less out of it. So that could also come with styling products. Anything you're putting on your hair or your scalp, it's going to have an impact on your scalp health. So to be mindful of all of that.
Yeah. I do want to just call out too that you mentioned exfoliating, and I used to be question why I would exfoliate my scalp. And it's kind of the same as the face. So when you just wash your face, even if you're using a cleanser, it's not necessarily getting everything off of your skin that has been building up throughout the week. You really need to get that dead skin off and get any environmental toxins off of your skin to get to that base where it can really soak in those oils and all of those beneficial products that you're putting on it. And exfoliating your scalp, I'm sure, is the same exact thing. When you sweat, when you're outside, there's all kinds of environmental toxins around us at all times. You do need to take those steps. And sometimes it's a pain in the butt because you don't
Yeah,
want
and
to.
you don't necessarily need to do it too often. You don't want to over exfoliate. So that's why we recommend that the mask is really being kind of a 1 to 2 a week type of product, and why our shampoo is gentler, so that you can use it on a daily basis, and it's not going to strip your hair or strip your scalp of too much unnecessary oil.
Well, I think I have grilled you enough about science and hair care and scalp health. So I just have a couple quick hit questions for you to
Sure,
wrap this up. What does having a clean body mean to you?
it's a good question. I think it means being mindful of the products you ingest, the products that you put on your product, sorry, products you put on your skin, um, and it really is mindfulness. It's understanding like what and why you're using the products you're using, and that there may be reasons why you're not using an all organic product at a certain time, but knowing what's in your products and making kind of an active decision around that.
It's a great answer. What are a couple other routine lifestyle and diet habits that you have that you could not live without?
So yeah, that's a good one. I'd say I moisturize like something that's actually I learned as I've gotten older is just it's actually just moisturizing my face. Something that I've as a guy, or at least myself, I'll speak for myself. I just was never. I don't think I pampered myself in that way or really moisturized. And as I got older, I realized it's a it's really important to do so. And I think as I learned more about my scalp health, I started to realize I really need to take even better care of my skin. I mean, scalp is just an extension of your skin, right? So moisturizing, exercise, being mindful of our mindful of being more and more mindful of what I'm eating, and seeing and learning how certain foods do affect my dandruff or my skin in general, and then trying to be active in sports, so playing tennis. That's kind of something. Being down in Florida has now allowed me to be outside a bit more and be active. But again, it's a holistic approach to everything, taking the right supplements, to make sure that I'm taking care of what's in my body and what's on my body.
Yeah, I think that's where marketing has made a big mistake. Like, what is the deal with men not thinking they need to put lotion on their faces? I'm gonna just cut that clip and send it to my husband. He's like, "Why don't you
I
put lotion on your face?"
it's it really it's I mean it's I think at least I was probably lazy, to be honest, and a lot of people are lazy, and then I think as you just get older you start to recognize that you just can't be as lazy anymore.
Yeah,
And
you're like, "Uh-oh."
yeah, exactly. You guys should have been a little more mindful of that a few years ago. But it's always good to start now, and that's even honestly for even with our products is there are a lot of people that don't have dandruff daily, but being proactive about your routines, I think is very important. So you don't if you do it half when it's too late, it's going to take a bit longer to kind of fix whatever you want or improve upon where you were. So being proactive is, I think, a really important kind of part of the overall personal care journey.
Yeah, I'm definitely a routine person. I spiral if I don't have my routine. What is a wellness or well-being trend that you've recently become interested in, if anything?
Ooh, a wellness trend. Um, I've actually started to learn a lot more about alternative medicine, and that's actually been something that I can't say I'm yet fully embracing, but I'm learning it, and I think there's a lot there. So alternative treatment plans around that can help with your kind of your overall wellness beyond uh, beyond the kind of the more traditional medicine that you may be taking. I've found, and I've just heard some really really great results about acupressure and things like that. That I think is something I've learned about. And
Yeah.
also I would say another one is again being mindful of what we're eating. I've I've had a lot more people in my life kind of turn to a more vegan vegetarian lifestyle. It's never been kind of a big part of my. It's not been something I've thought about, but I'm starting now to incorporate more plant-based food into my diets and being more mindful of that and seeing some benefits there. So it's incremental. I'm not I can't make a big change all at once, but just little bits starting to feel a bit better.
Wellness is a lifelong journey. Yeah, I don't think you can make any big changes overnight, and you have to make one small step and slowly build on that. But last question for you, what other brands do you love and support?
It's great. So I think there's been like an amazing kind of growth of really inspiring brands. That are kind of more in this kind of D2C space. So um, I love what Maud is doing in sexual wellness. I think it's like I think they've approached it in a really great way. I love what Bombas has done in the sock space. Not so much wellness, but I like I like the focus on again quality products that also have like kind of social giving angle. As I mentioned, we give 5% of our profits to mental health initiatives. So I really like to see a lot of these brands that are doing that. I mean, clearly there's a million D2C brands that have kind of helped to start to destigmatize categories that were historically just not talked about. And overall, I'm loving seeing that trend, and that's something that we're being a part of.
Yeah, an interview I have coming up is with an adaptogenic lozenge company, and that's a space that hasn't had anything new or cool in a very long time. So, there's a lot of cool brands coming out, like you said. But thank you so much. Before I let you go, how can people learn more about Jupiter, interact with you? Any big things coming up for the brand that we should know about?
So you can go to our website at hellojupiter.com. You can also find us on Amazon now. We launched just at the end of November on Amazon. And in terms of interesting product, we have 3 or 4 new products that we've just completed, and or at least very close to completion. We'll be rolling some of those out in 2021. I think we don't want to rush to roll out new products before our customers start to really understand and get a hold of what our core products are. But uh, as I mentioned, based on a lot of the feedback we got on our quiz, it's led us to develop products that we know our consumers actually want. So that was something that was important, is that we're not just trying to create products based on what we think people want, but we listen to what they tell us, and so we're very excited about that, and continuing to have discussions on some other channel partners. We've been seeing our products getting into some dermatology practices, which is very exciting, and I think a good growth opportunity for us, as well as salons. So I think there's going to be a lot of really interesting products that we're going to be developing over the next few years around in areas that have historically been scalp aggravators, and we're going to be reformulating products that are all safe for the scalp.
Well, I think the sky is the limit for Jupiter. And sorry, my dog is going crazy now, but
Okay.
I am
Well,
definitely going to be jumping off this call and Googling space flakes. So thanks for giving me some homework. Thank you
of
so
course.
much for
Thank
chatting with
you.
us. I'm such a fan, and I will link everything out, the website, the products, the Instagram, and the show notes. So check those out. And yeah, you're wonderful. Thank you so much. Hey, hey, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that interview. Don't forget, Jupiter is offering 10% off to the Clean Body Podcast listeners. Just go to hellojupiter.com and type in Clean Body 10 for 10% out at checkout. As a reminder, this podcast is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional care from a doctor or otherwise qualified health professional. This podcast is provided on the understanding that it is not a replacement for medical or other health-related services. If you're looking for help in your journey, seek out a qualified practitioner. See you guys next time.